of the week, Megan Malcolm-Peck. And the women taking on another top-ranked foe as well in Nebraska. CU Sportsnet coming up right now. He's Dave Starcer, and David LaRose here to bring you today's sports recap from the past week. We had a lot of good sports action this week, Dave. We had golf, we had hockey, and then, of course, basketball. First off, the men taking on the top country in Canada. Yes, we did. Before kickoff, the CU Express. Oh, Marcus Morris with the elbow jumper. We have let Corey Higgins fly right by. Finds Brady Morningstar for the three. Kansas adding to the early advantage. Here you have Collins again taking on the double team. Finds Tyrell Reed in the corner for the tray ball, all Kansas early, playing like the number one team in the land. Tomlinson directing the out-of-bounds play, passes to a curling Corey Higgins with the bucket and the foul. Dwight Thorne drives and passes to the big man Hunks, who knocks down the 15-foot jumper. This is how it was all game, finding Aldrich down low, turns from the double team, baby hook over the overmatched big man of Colorado. Although we have Higgins trying to keep us in it, drives baseline, around, avoids Reed and banks it in for two. Here we show a little hustle after the Morris miss. Get on the floor! Relford scoops up the loose ball and with the heads-up play calls a timeout, letting the Buffs gain possession. With the 1-2 punch, Collins throwing it in the post to Aldridge, who elbows Knutson to the floor, overpowering the Buffs for the lay-in. But Relford says, "I'm not scared," takes it right at the All-American center, finishing the play strong as the Buffs continue to hang around. Kansas still showing why they're the top-ranked team in land. Morningstar dishing it down low to Morris. Goes up! Count it, and the foul on Dufault. Kansas staying up late, though. CU, though, with the answer. Tomlinson on the break, finding a streaking Relford. CU down one. They end up tying it late. Higgins with the ball with 10 seconds to play for the win. No good. We're heading to overtime. And in the OT, Kansas, well, they get off to a quick start. Morningstar looked like he may have traveled there, but he'll set up for the jump shot. Kiss it off the glass and in. KU up two there. And then Collins to his left with a nice dish down low to Morris in the easy lay-in. Kansas with another basket to go up on CU. And then some more Morris. Well, not one. Nope, not two. Make it three times is the charm. KU with a 7-0 run to start the overtime, and they're up big on CU. What? Relford says, "I'm going to try and keep us in it." Nice fake, turns, spins, goes up, count it, and one. CU trying to hang in there, but KU just proving to be too much. They're showing why the number one team in the land. Collins taking matters into his own hands with the non-stride there. And then Higgins trying to make some magic, but it wouldn't be enough. The dish out to Default for the three is off the mark. Rebound KU, and that's all she wrote. CU coming up short. They follow Kansas 72-66. Marcus Relford had 18 points and 11 boards, and Higgins added 14 for the Buffs. Cole Aldrich had 16 points and 14 rebounds. Collins adding 16 points for the Jayhawks. Well, the men's basketball team's struggles on the road in conference play are well documented. The Buffs haven't won away from Boulder since 2006, a miserable 32-game streak. However, they still went to Iowa State earlier this week full of confidence and ready to buck the ugly trend. Down one with 16 seconds to play, the Buffs were able to steal the basketball, but Marcus Relford's layup rimmed out as time expired. The heartbreaking road loss is all too familiar for the Buffs, which extended their streak to 33 games. The Buffs are going to go back on the road next Saturday in the Octagon of Doom, that's at Kansas State, looking to get that goose egg out of the win column. Now we have a little women's basketball highlights against Nebraska. Take it away, Starcer. Well, things aren't getting easy for the women as well. They're playing a lot of ranked teams too, and here they come out of the tunnel ready to face the number 4 team in the land, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Crowd favorite Chucky Jeffrey. Raise your shoulder out, girl, giving a mile-high salute to her teammates. Let's get the action going. Here's the little girl from Nebraska, Dominique Kelly, with a strong take inside to put Nebraska on the board. Oh, so what did good coach do? Pulls her aside and says, "Hey, Meg, you know, not with this little backdoor cut on offense." Presley finds Malcolm-Peck streaking for the easy layup. There you go. Getting things going for the Buffs. Huskers, no, they're answering right back. Good ball movement here, swinging it around. And finally, they find the open Husker. That's Coy Montgomery with a long tray. Nebraska staying on top. Brittany Spears, though, she ain't toxic on this play. Crosses over, kisses it off the glass. She's showing why she's a Buff team scorer on that play. But Montgomery and Nebraska answered back right here with a nice scoop shot and kissing off the glass. They're hanging tough, or I should say, CU's hanging tough, but could they stay in there? More movement here from the Buffs. Spears here with the backdoor cut, crossover, takes the contact and finishes the play at the bucket. That looks like a Nebraska player's boyfriend in the stand. Courtney Dunn getting the pass from Morgan Pressel, driving to the hoop, making the shot and the foul. Here Spears splits two defenders, kicks it to the corner for Bianca with her own version of the JR swish. Jeffries at the point, dribbles to the elbow, the nice dish for the lane. Good movement again here by the Buffs. But the Huskers were just too much on this night. Montgomery with the steal, taking it all the way to the hole for two. And she's loving it on her way back up the court as Nebraska stays undefeated on the year, going to 20-0 with the final. Nebraska 80, Colorado 64.
Chucky Jeffrey with 11 leads you. She had a double-double on the night. Brittany Spears adding 9 points. Kelsey Griffin with a double-double as well, 24 points on the night for Nebraska, and Dominique with 18 as well. After the game, CU coach Kathy McConnell-Miller talked about the team's tough loss.
You know, we worked hard, I thought, defensively. We made a lot of adjustments and were pretty effective at times, whether it was the man or zone. But we didn't limit Kelsey Griffin's inside touches at all. Got us in foul trouble, led to easy buckets, 3-point plays, and was a struggle for us. We got to keep battling, and we have to keep playing. And I am not disappointed with the younger players. I'm not disappointed with the performance, the effort. Yeah, at times there's a frustration that sets in about where we are and where we want to be. But you know, these guys are battling night in and night out, and you know what they've done against a top 5-6 team in the country. There were some really good things that happened.
Open the spring portion of the season in Paradise on Wednesday on the Kohala coast of Hawaii. The 7,000-yard Maunalani course hosted the Invitational. As play continued to Thursday, the course claimed victory over those who played with high winds, difficult hole locations. Sophomore Kevin Kring ranked 6th, but then dropped to 34th from 2 disastrous holes in the second round. Colorado finished 10th on Wednesday, but fell in the ranks to 14th overall on Thursday after a lackluster performance. The final round is set to start on Friday at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we're going to take a short break, but plenty more sportsman action coming up for you. We'll sit down and talk with Coach Dan Hawkins about his recruiting class for 2010.
We also have that trivia question, so stay right with us. CU Sports Mag, February means National Signing Day around the country.
Yeah, and it's the same here in Boulder. That means Coach Dan Hawkins and his staff were down in Delmore with the media to discuss CU's recruiting class for 2010.
You know what I mean? There's always guys that you don't get, and, you know, that's the nature every year. We're not a group that really throws out 300, 400, 500 scholarship offers when you get back into this thing, so we don't just, you know, throw them out there. But there's always a whole bunch of guys that you don't get, and I think it's important that you get the right guys for your program and do a good job with that and get the right fit. But everybody in our team, I know all the wide receivers are impressed with his arm strength and how he can throw the football. I know in the conditioning drills that we've been doing out there, he moves decently as well. Obviously threw it around a lot. The people that we know that work with him and have been around him both in high school and outside of high school have tremendous respect for him as a person and as a player. And I think his dedication to us and getting here early is going to help. But I like him. As we look at the numbers across the board, I think which every coach tries to aspire to get to, you're trying to get X amount of tight ends and X amount of, you know, quarterbacks and O-line. Those numbers are starting to kind of play out like you want them to see played out. So all that's good. The way we recruit, I talk about this quality balance of life thing. I truly believe this. I think if you look around the country and you look at CU and you go, okay, let's pick a good place to live. Let's pick a good university. Let's pick a program that has great tradition, football tradition, and let's look at that well-rounded institution and that program. I think Colorado is pretty good there, regardless of who the coach is. Regardless. I think we're very close to doing some awesome things. You know, clearly they're going to have to supplant the guys that are here. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I tell you this, there's a lot of earmarkings there that you kind of go, all right, this guy has a chance to be physically what you want and do all the other intangible things as well.
Well, on the set here, we have Kylie Burst to talk more about CU's recruiting class for the upcoming season. Kylie, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Now, let's just jump right in and give like a quick little overview of what our recruits are like for this year. We have 21 recruits coming in. Our geographical diversity is actually really great. They range anywhere from New Jersey to Hawaii, with 8 coming from California and surprisingly only 2 from Colorado. And also, we do not have any 4- or 5-star recruits. So that's something that's a little bit different for this year.
Now, how are we looking against the other Big 12 schools? I know a lot was made that we didn't really recruit as well as a lot of these other big schools in the Big 12 did. What do you make of that?
Unfortunately, that is completely true. We are looking, we're about 66th nationally ranked by ESPN.com, and all the other Big 12 schools are in the top 50. This is the first year with Dan Hawkins that we haven't been in the top 50, so that's a real problem. Texas is all the way down there at number 3, so that's something that's not looking so good. Our recruits, unfortunately, we are the only Big 12 school without a 4- or 5-star recruit, even a 4-star recruit. We just don't have this year.
Now, what do you think might be a couple of reasons for these athletes, decommitting, or jumping to other schools? I mean, CU, perennially is a good school recruiting-wise, from year to year.
Usually, I think that there are a couple things that really went into this decision-making for the recruits. One, we didn't have a good season last year. We lost to Toledo and CSU. Those are not schools that we should be losing to. Another one that people have been throwing around is what we have Daryl Scott leaving, and personally, I don't think that's what it was about. I think that Daryl Scott doesn't have too much to do with the recruits. Like, they're worried about going forward and the future. And speaking of the future, like, Dan Hawkins, we don't know if he's going to be here 2 years from now. And I think that's what a lot of the recruits were looking for. They're looking for this consistency, this future in the team, and I don't think that they have that reassurance from the Buffs.
Now, there are maybe a couple specific position areas that maybe fans wanted to see, if not more depth, just maybe some more, competition come spring ball, specifically those being quarterback and kicker. What do you think about those 2 areas?
Absolutely. I mean, those are 2 areas where really people were not happy when they saw the quarterbacks going out on the field. And I'm happy to say that we do have a great quarterback recruit, Nick Hirschman from California. In his high school career, he had 50 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. He he set the records for touchdowns and passing yards in his high school. So I think that he's really going to bring a lot to this team. And he's going to give Cody Hawkins and Tyler Hansen a run for their money and our red shirt that we haven't even seen yet. So that's something to look out for. We also have a new kicker, Justin Castor from Golden, Colorado. So he is one of our locals here. Ranked number 22 in the nation by Rivals.com. So that's great. 2 of his field goals in the past career were around 50 yards, were over 50 yards, and over 5 were over 40 yards. So that's great. I think that those are definitely going to be good fill-ins for the team. So even if we don't have these huge recruiting classes that are 4- and 5-star recruits, we're filling in where we need to, and that's what we need to do for next year.
Well, despite the, excuses or anything that people might say about the recruiting class, we'll just have to see how these guys pan out come in the fall.
That's right.
Thanks for coming on set, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Now, with a little bit more on signing day, our man on the street, Adam Ladwig, went and asked the students what they thought.
National Signing Day was this past Wednesday, and the CU football program failed to land a 4- or 5-star recruit for the first time in the Dan Hawkins era. And this made Ralphie here very, very sad. Today we're at the UMC getting student opinions on the recruiting class and how it will affect the future of the CU football program.
It hasn't been very good the last few years, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better. We're going downhill fast. Downhill fast. Our recruiting program needs to be revamped. Our coaching staff needs to be revamped. Like, everything needs to be just redone.
We've been struggling, but I am a senior, and I was here for our 2-win season. So when we won 3, I was stoked.
I really don't know if Hawkins has credibility to even be at this kind of level. I feel that he did great at Boise State, kind of doing a lot of small-scale stuff. I just don't trust his recruiting ability.
I mean, based on his performance, it looks like when it does become economically feasible to let him go, perhaps CU should look to go into a different direction.
He needs to stay with the program and fight through it. There are his complaints about him, but keeping him around until the end of his contract or whatever you say is in the best interest of the program. We'll probably win maybe 4 games, and that's being generous. But it's always been the excuse that we have a young team. Well, that young team is now getting older, so they have higher expectations.
I mean, hopefully we continue to win a few games, but if we haven't gotten any of the top recruits, then it doesn't look like it's very likely to improve very much.
The CU football program remains a divisive issue on campus, with some students saying the program will continue in the doldrums, while others saying it will improve next year. What do you think, Ralphie? Will we get better next year? Well, there you have it. For CU Sports Mag, I'm Adam Ladwig.
Thanks, Adam. Coach Dan Hoggins and his staff weren't the only ones busy on the recruiting trail this winter, attempting to fill the void for the loss of 7 seniors, including star forward Nikki Marshall. University of Colorado soccer coach, Bill Hempen, unveiled his recruiting class for 2010. The 6 Centennial Staters will all join the team in time for classes next fall. Amy Steiner from Littleton, Colorado, is already enrolled at CU after transferring from Arizona. The Buffs will hit the field for their first regular season action versus the University of Wyoming on Sunday, August 29th at 1 p.m.
Wednesday night, the men's basketball team played in front of their largest crowd all season as tickets sold out the day before the game. Now that brings us to our trivia question. How big was the largest crowd to ever fill the Coors Event Center? Think it over for a little while, and we'll be back with that answer shortly.
That's a very good question, man. It looked like it was pretty packed on Wednesday, though. I gotta say that.
It was an awesome game.
But when we come back, we'll have Kai Cummings and Katie Blackwell on the double team set to break down that Kansas loss.
And we'll also have our athlete of the week, Allie McLaughlin. Stay with us.
Welcome back here to CU Sports Mag. Everybody, of course, a little heartbroken over that tough OT loss to Kansas on Wednesday night. And our own Kai Cummings and Katie Blackwell on the double team set to talk about what CU did and didn't do against the top team in the nation.
Hi and welcome to Double Team. I'm Katie Blackwell, sitting with my colleague Kai Cummings, and we're going to be talking about, no surprise, the Colorado versus Kansas basketball game. Kansas is the #1 ranked basketball team. It was a sold-out game, and we ended up going into overtime, which was really impressive, but we did lose. So,
yeah, we did.
I mean, something went wrong. What was it?
You know, it was nice to see the Coors Event Center filled to capacity. You know, it's been a while since that's happened. But, Katie, really, it's been constant in the Buffs, at least in the past 6 games. They've lost the last 5 games in single-digit numbers, and that means that you're not finishing games, and it's been apparent for a while now.
I mean, that is true. I mean, it has been those past games, but we've seen this since the beginning of the season. They won their first 3 games, but then after that, they go and play their 4th game against Gonzaga. They only lose by 4. Then they play their game against Arizona, go into overtime and only lose by 4. So, I mean...
In overtime too.
So this has just been a constant thing, and it's something the Buffs really need to work on.
Exactly, and especially when you have your star freshman Alec Burks out with a sprained left knee. Corey Higgins decides not to really show up in the first half. He was 1 for 7 from the floor. I mean, the Buffs really are limited on their players. I mean, it's especially going up against #1 KU.
Yeah, I mean, but luckily we did have Marcus Relford. He came out right from the start. He had a great game. He had a double-double with 18 points, 11 rebounds. I was really impressed from him right from the start.
Right from the start all the way to the finish, he was their player for this KU game. And now let's look on the opposite side of the ball. I mean, you have the matchups there. Marcus Morris, he had 15 points. Sharon Collins, a guy that's been in this program for a while, been starting for a while, he had 16 points. And then Cole Aldridge, a very evident, very big, down low, 6'11", 245. He had a double-double, 16 points and 14 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Buffs just came out pretty shell-shocked right from the start. Because with that lineup, how could they not?
Exactly, and it definitely seen. I mean, they're playing #1 Kansas. I mean, we're an unranked team right now, going in, home game, but especially when a lot of the people at this game, you know, were Kansas fans. So, I mean, take away that home field advantage pretty much. But Jeff Bizdelic, after the game started, he started out in the zone defense, moved to man-to-man once he found out that, hey, we can actually play with these guys. We can be physical and actually really do what we want to do all season long.
And they did step up in that first half. They were only down by 6 at halftime, which I was really impressed by because they did start out so slow, to be only down by 6 at halftime, I mean, I didn't know what got into them. They were awesome.
Nobody would think that the Buffs would be down by 6 going into halftime, but more importantly, coming out of halftime, they continued that. They stayed close with Kansas all up until the end where, you know, it was a heartbreaker, really, because they took them again into overtime and lost in overtime as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, the underlining thing right there is they lost.
Exactly.
They did lose. I mean, as much of a battle as they put up, they did lose. So, say you're Coach Bizdelic, what are you going to do? What are you going to tell the team?
You know, first off, if I'm Jeff Bizdelic, I'm thinking to myself, you know, we played Kansas very tough. We played a very good team, a #1 team in the nation, and really keep preaching what he's preaching, and things are going to turn around, especially in the win-loss column. If not this year, next year. But that's all the time we have for Double Team. For Katie Blackwell, I'm Kai Cummings. Thanks for stopping by. We'll send it back to the desk.
3 Buffs women ran ahead of the herd last Saturday at the UW Track and Field Invitational in Seattle. Freshman Allie McLaughlin and Laura Tremblay and junior Laura Thwart each earned NCAA provisional times in the 3,000-meter run, coming in 3rd, 6th, and 8th, respectively. McLaughlin made her collegiate debut in grand fashion, posting the fastest collegiate time on the day. The men's team did not earn any provisional times, but senior Jordan Kyle fell short by only 3 seconds in the 3,000 meter, taking 13th overall. Also last Saturday, some members of the men's and women's track and field teams competed in the Don Barrett Air Force duels at the Air Force Academy. The men recorded first and second place finishes in both the 800-meter run and the 3K, a first in the 4x100 relay, and second in the high jump. The Buff women also came out strong, winning the 3K, the 800, and the high jump. Standouts included 3K winners Joe Demore and Shayla Kipp, 800 winners Matthew Bagner and Elizabeth Trimley, and high jumpers Jason DeWitt and Holly O'Neill. Both teams now head to the New Mexico Classic in Albuquerque, competing this Friday and Saturday.
Freshman Allie McLaughlin got her Colorado track career off to a hot start at the UW Invitational last Saturday. McLaughlin posted a time of 9 minutes, 23 seconds, good enough for third place overall and first among collegiate runners. McLaughlin's time is the 12th best posted by a Division I runner this season and the third best in the Big 12. The freshman's time also clocked in as the second fastest in the 3K by a Buff. McLaughlin will seek to continue her success at the New Mexico Classic this weekend.
This now sends us to our Athlete of the Week in Allie McLaughlin. CU's tennis team, we're going to go to the tennis highlights. CU's tennis team pulled out a narrow victory against Utah on Saturday at the 2010 ITA kickoff weekend. Camila Balassi fought to the end with Utah freshman Paige Miles and prevailed in a 3-set match, 7-6, 4-6, 6-3. Monica Maluski also recorded her 68th career win. The victory brings her only one win away from tying second on the school's all-time wins list. The Buffs are now 2-2 on the year and hope to gain momentum against 67th ranked BYU this Saturday.
Well, when we come back from the break, we're going to have the answer to that trivia question you guys have been waiting for.
And we also have Kylie Horner giving us our forecast for the weekend.
Stick around. Months have been tumultuous for Colorado football as key players and coaches alike have left the program. Coach Dan Hawkins has now lost another position coach himself, claiming that his head coaching duties sometimes prevented him from devoting enough time to his position players. Hawkins announced that he will not be coaching the wide receivers come fall. Although CU has 2 coaching vacancies on the defensive side of the ball, Coach Hawk said he will hire a new assistant to coach either the quarterbacks or the wideouts. Offensive coordinator Eric Keesaw is likely to fill the spot at whatever position the new assistant doesn't take.
Sports Mag caught up with freshman Megan Malcolm Peck to talk to her about the basketball season so far, how she's adjusting to the Big 12, and what it's like to play with her twin sister.
Peck, I'm a guard forward, and I'm from Boulder, Colorado. We're from Boulder, and we just love the coaching staff, the support, the direction the program's going, and staying in state with the family. My team's awesome, and the upperclassmen just support us so much and really help the freshmen just get integrated into the system and tell us what to do, help us along. So we love the team, and they're really helping us out.
Were you guys going to try to stay together?
Yeah, any school recruited us separately. We were like, no, so we knew we wanted to stay together. I really love Coach's system, and that's one of the reasons we came here. So that's really fun to play for her. And Big 12 basketball, obviously, it's way different. You notice the difference from preseason to here. It's definitely hard and difficult, and every team is a battle, and every team is good. So keep pushing through. We play summer ball, so you're used to traveling, but it's not like the same workload with school and the traveling. But I'm getting used to it, so it's going pretty well.
It's now time to answer that trivia question. To refresh your memory, the question was, how big was the largest crowd to ever fill the Coors Event Center? Do you think you've got it? The answer is 11,363 fans. That's a heck of a lot of fans, Darcy.
It is, and I got to say the crowd on Wednesday probably gave them a run for their money. Well, we're going to throw it over to Kylie Horner now, who's got the weather for this weekend.
Yep, let's see how the...
Thanks, guys. I'm Kylie Horner here with your weekend weather update. So we've got Super Bowl Sunday, and also it's prime ski season. So let's check out the national weather forecast. We've got a stationary front right here over Colorado. This could mean the clouds you're seeing outside today might be here for a few more days, but that's okay. It's not too bad. Checking out the temperatures now. Here in Colorado, we see some greens and yellows. That means 40 to 50 degree range, which is awesome. If you're looking to go outside, maybe do some camping, I don't know, it would be a great time for that. And also, if you're headed to the Super Bowl in Miami, Miami's looking awesome. You can see the reds and the yellows. That means 70 and 80 degree weather. That's just perfect. But specifically looking at the Boulder weather, Friday we have a high of 45, a low of 29, and partly cloudy skies, so it's looking awesome. Saturday we also have a high of 45 and a low of 31, partly cloudy skies. So like I said, it's a great weekend to go outside, maybe take a stroll on Pearl Street. But I would do that Friday or Saturday, because Sunday it looks like we have some snow in the forecast. We have a high of 37 and a low of 25. So maybe you want to head up to the ski resorts on Sunday. First off, we have Keystone. They've gotten 2 inches of recent snowfall, and they have a base of 32 inches, which is awesome. Probably going to be getting more because it looks like it's going to be snowing all weekend with a high of 33 and a low of 17. And for you Copper Winter Park pass holders, Winter Park's looking awesome also. We've got 52-inch base and 2 inches of new snowfall. They're also going to have partly cloudy skies, a high of 23 and a low of 18. So if you're headed to the slopes, I would definitely say head out there Sunday. It'll be perfect. If you're headed to the Super Bowl, the Colts against the Saints, it's looking awesome in Miami. So have a wonderful weekend. Do you think you're going to head up to the slopes this weekend?
Actually, I'm going to LaRosa's house for the big game, I think.
Make sure to BYOB.
I will do, buddy.
Thanks for watching Sports Mag.